Today is going to be one of the crazy days. It's supposed to rain on and off the whole day. So I didn't want to plan any rides or any get-togethers or anything. And I have about 5 little, each one's an individual shop project that I wanted to do. Wanted to work on FLITZ stuff. I have levers to install. This bike is, and I wanted to mention this right now, this bike, 24,000 miles. We are going to do the 24,000 mile service on it today, which includes an oil change and cleaning the chain. And basically what I'm going to take the time to do is carefully FLITZ the whole bike so it'll be hopefully protected for the whole summer. And what's nice is once you do that once a year, you can ride in the rain, you can do anything you want. Well, or if you use carnauba wax, the same thing. I think they both work equally well. But the point that I wanted to make is this is the day that I look forward to this day. And we've had a lot of good riding. It's been warm. Get up this morning, it's really cold. It's in the 50s. It'll be a good day to do this. I'm in a flannel shirt and long pants and I'm cold. So it'll be a good day to do this. And I'm also looking forward to my kids got a new rug in their house, and their old rug, maybe I could replace this rug, which is really getting, well, it's an old rug. It was old when I got it and it didn't get any younger. It's like me. Anyway, I want to get started. The first thing is I want to get this bike warmed up while it's not pouring out there and dump the oil. Now this time of year, just planning out what I'm going to do on a certain given day, it's a lot easier in the time that I'm working on bikes and not riding every day. It gets a little more difficult when you have to make a choice every morning. Is this going to be a riding day or a no riding day or maintenance day? We've come up on the maintenance cycle. I keep a logbook of all the bike's maintenance, and today's the lucky day. Now we got a little break in the rain. I guess that'd be a good time. Get the bike warmed up, get it up to operating temperature, and dump the oil. And while it's dumping, go have breakfast. Karen's got some work she wants to do in the garden before it starts raining hard again. And they're cutting down another tree in the neighborhood. Jesus. So you can see this morning we had big serious rain, and now we're right in the middle of it's gonna rain. Well, you never know, but it'd be a good thing to get this part of it done today. Not losing a riding day, that's for sure. And the maintenance must be done. Just not quite 24,000. We've had a lot of fun with this bike, I have to tell you. When I got this bike, and I share it with my son-in-law Rob, I didn't think it would be this much fun. I've had 24,000 miles. I've probably put most of them on. It's been a great bike. Now what I always do, I have an old rubber mat, just because I don't want to get any oil. I don't have to. Bad enough stuff gets on this rug. And that's the rug Luciano turned my garage into looked like his living room for a lot of while, wherever he had the rug. But anyway, just having some something under there, because every once in a while you do spill or drop or drool or whatever. One thing that's really convenient about this bike, very easy to get in at the oil filter. Nothing difficult, nothing tricky. But still, it's the kind of maintenance that when you do it religiously, and I log every maintenance thing I ever do to these bikes, just for my own reference. And now, this is the good news. Now from this point on, I can let this sit, go have my coffee. Karen's got some stuff she wants to do in the garden. The longer you let this sit, the oil drains down. A lot of times you let it sit another 10 minutes and you get a spoonful of oil, who knows. But it's time for coffee. It's that wonderful time of day. Coffee time. So part of every morning routine, of course, and it's really not too funny. Karen's little vegetable garden, we've been having salad from it every night. And of all things, they're chopping down another tree in our neighborhood. So for the whole day we're going to be listening to, as we're eating our healthy vegetables. Actually, we have had a lot of fun. Karen's garden has really been a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun every year. Look at these veggies. Oh my God, look at these veggies. No wonder I'm so healthy. Wow, no wonder GQ magazine wants my picture. And what could be better than having salad from your garden, and a giant cup of windy coffee. So here's just one of the things today. This is from eBay, and the name of the company is RZM Parts. And they sent a nice little note. They want to know if you got the parts they sent. These come from China, of course. They were the letter, they were the levers. And they send out, this is the second little note they sent. Now, I have the levers in stock. I'm not going to do them right now, but I will answer them. And of course, I'll ask them if they'd like me to make a little video for them, of course. Now, I like when companies are like this, that they respond. And of course, Dime Cycle's the same way. Our muffler, I already have tracking numbers for the muffler, so I can plan out my day a little bit easier. But very nice company, and the name of the company, and I think it's from China, of course, RZM Parts. And I wanted to give them a little plug because the parts look like they're really well made. And the only question is, are they going to fit? And we'll make a separate video of installing them. So I have some normal maintenance things to do today. I wanted to, I haven't really figured out what I want to do yet because the weather's been rain on and off. And I do want to finish Vlad's parts up as soon as possible. I know he's waiting to work on them, put the bike back together. Both of the bikes. I got parts from 2 of his bikes here. This time of year I like to wait for a really red hot day so that the tires go jump right on, and we got 2 left to do. And hopefully then we'll be in good shape for the whole summer. Now, it wasn't that long ago, and Najat was over here, and he gave me these beautiful pictures that I have hanging in my shop of the 750. Joe Roselli has some fancy photo technique where he's going to shoot some pictures of the FZR at night. I just wanted to get the muffler on before we scheduled and made up a date to do that. But I love having pictures of the motorcycles just hanging in the cellar here all winter. I dream about the days we go riding in the summer. And it's kind of interesting, we have these old magazines and the new, well, not a magazine, but a picture. And I always look at it and I say how far we've come. From 1976, wow, 2019, wow. It's been a long journey. Now, I wanted to mention something. I have this really nice Ducati shirt that I have worn a few times, but it really doesn't fit me anymore. And I wanted to give it to Charlie, who is a little bit smaller than I am and has his new Ducati. It'll match. And he graciously gave me a nice B25 shirt that I'm going to be wearing in the future. But here's what I do. I always lay out my clothes this time of year here. If it's really hot next riding day, but you never know, this time of year it's cold. It's flannel shirt weather. So I have my whole, what should be a workbench table, set up for different riding scenarios. But we're not going to ride today. No, I didn't want to start this today because I wanted to make a dedicated video of doing it. And I do have other things. Look at how nice these are. These are from RZM. Now, my only question is, are they going to be an exact fit? A lot of times when you get parts that are supposed to be an exact fit, they're an almost fit. And you have to grind something or drill something or make a bushing. Well, I don't know until I do this. That's why I wanted to make a dedicated video. But these are the parts that came. They're basically $20. There's no shipping. And what this is going to do, hopefully, give me fully adjustable levers, which I don't have. And the one that when I dropped the bike and I gouged up the end of it, I really was never able to make it look brand new again. This will be a nice little addition. And it's 20 bucks. And if they don't work out, I'm out 20 bucks, or I'm sure you can return these. But these look like the right ones. We're going to find out in the next couple days. Okay, now again, the oil filter is in a very convenient spot. Makes this job just a lot easier than it is on some of the bikes with fairings and 4 pipes in front of it. Could it be any more convenient than that? That just couldn't be any more convenient. One of the nice things about this bike, doing the maintenance, all of the maintenance is relatively easy. So a couple little things that I've learned over the years. Whatever the motorcycle manufacturer says in terms of oil, that's what I use. Now, it may seem like that's overkill, but what happened is I've heard of several people that have put this, some kind of fancy, well, oil that's not called for. And one of the problems you have if you don't follow the manufacturer, what they recommend, you can have clutch slippage issues, especially if you try to use automotive oil in a motorcycle, because it'd be $1 a quart cheaper. I would always recommend use exactly what the manufacturer says. Now another thing, and I try to show this tip on this video, I'm not sure if it worked out. We've got a lot of stuff going on here in the family. What I always try to do is get the engine warmed up, dump the oil, and then go have something else to do for half an hour, so every drop drops out. It's just me. I like to get that last spoonful of oil out of the engine. Probably not critical, but it certainly can't hurt. Now every motorcycle is unique, where the drain plug is, where the oil filter is, and etc. Because of the way this bike is, and I've proven this to myself many times, even the first time I changed the oil, I said, you know, where that drain plug, it's on this side of the engine. And if the bike is on a side stand, the last little bit of oil isn't going to come out. So after I'd take the filter and change it and drop the oil, I'd stand the bike up and I'd watch, and about another, 4 or 5 ounces of oil had come out. So what I always do now is let it all drain out, and when you think it's all drained out, stand the bike up straight, and you always get a couple more spoonfuls of oil out. And of course, do it while the engine's hot. And I always log in all of the maintenance, so I know for my own reference. Tire changes, batteries, chains, whatever. And oil changes, of course. Now, I know a lot of people, try to invent things and try to come up with solutions for problems that don't exist, but I really think it's a really good idea. If the manufacturer says 1040 oil, use 1040 oil. If they say 1040 chemical oil, use 1040 chemical oil. Because some bikes recommend it, and some bikes like the Yamaha R1, they want you using regular oil, not chemical oil. Now obviously they have their reasons, but because I've stuck to the manufacturer specs on all of these, and I spend a fortune on oil, I don't care. The bikes have lasted very well. Now what I did years ago, when I bought the R1, and that was 10 years ago, I used to buy this by the case because I always wanted to have the oil that the company recommended in there, and maybe at the time it was $1, $1.50 more expensive than Walmart oil, but it's proven to be a good investment. Dollars well spent. And I use this, by the way, in all the bikes now. My first choice, but it doesn't really matter. I think the Kawasaki and Suzuki oil are not a whole lot different. It might even be the same oil, but it's got all of those little things in the back. And this is not a technical video. This all of the little things that say it meets the requirements of Yamaha and Suzuki and everybody else. And I really can't imagine a worse day in my life than if I changed the oil, and just as an example, I'll save $2 on oil. I'll use Pride of Poland oil or something, and it's vegetable oil or something that doesn't belong in a bike, and I wear out the engine prematurely. Because these bikes, when you use the right oil and you do the right oil changes, I mean, here we got one, 46,000. They're just perfect. They don't burn a drop of oil. They don't do anything bad, and the oil is a cheap investment. It just couldn't be a better return on the dollar. Now, some of the pitfalls people have, they over tighten the oil filter and squash the rubber ring. So one of the things I do is, once I put it on what I think is the right tightness, a little bit of oil on the gasket, and I'll take the bike outside, put the rubber mat underneath it if I think it's any chance it's going to leak, and let it run 5-10 minutes, and I don't want to see one drop of oil under there. Do a visual check and just make sure nothing's dripping. You wouldn't want to go right out on the road and for some reason have a leak there. Now the next part of this takes a little bit of time. I like to put the oil in. I don't want to overfill it, so I want to put just enough in, maybe two and a half quarts or whatever. But I don't want to get to the end and find out that I have an extra amount of oil in there. I want it to be right in the middle of the window when the motorcycle is standing straight up and down. And since this bike doesn't have a center stand, you got to do it manually, I guess, is the only way to do it. So, not the trick, but the way I would do it is I would put what I think is an amount that it's worth doing a check. And now I got the sight glass right here. I can see if oil is coming through. Now I'm not even at the point that oil is coming through yet. So again, the objective is not to overfill it and to be right in the middle of the sight glass. Now if you have a vehicle that burns oil, maybe you want to be a little bit above the middle, I don't know. But none of these vehicles are really oil burners, so. Okay, now I see it just starting to come up into the sight glass. I'm not, oh, the oil is nice and clear. We're right, oh! I know this is hard to believe, but we're right in the middle right now. But that's not the full test, because what's happened is I haven't filled the oil filter. So what I have to do, I have to put this away right now, get the cap, get the cap on this. I don't want the oil spewing out here. This takes a little bit of time, and some people just pour in 4 quarts of oil and then realize that's 1 quart too much. And a lot of people, if you don't change the filter, it's a whole different ball game too. Okay, so the oil light went out, the red oil light on the dashboard. I know the oil filter is filled right now. Now that it's filled, I'll let it sit for a second, recheck it, and if it's where it should be, okay, now what's happened is the oil has gone down just a little bit because we filled the filter. So if you didn't do this, you'd probably wind up having a little bit, well, who knows, 4 to 6 ounces, not enough oil in there. Again, this takes a little extra time. I think it's a good tip. I think it's good information, in fact. I'm always tempted now to just pour in way more than I need. Don't want to do that. Because right now, and the engine is still a little warm, so, and right now we are, wow, right on the money. That couldn't be any better. Right in the middle of the sight glass. Okay, now I'm pulling the bike up on it so it's straight up and down. And I want to see the oil come right in the middle. And that's about perfect. Now another thing, if you're doing track days, some track day groups want you to safety wire that plug. That plug can come off, and if it does, it can ruin your whole day and the other people doing track days. So I always make sure that's good and tight. Not just hand tight, I'll put a little wrench on it too. Now I'll let that run for a good 2 or 3 minutes. If I don't see 1 drop of oil in the driveway, then I'll recheck the sight level and check it. I check the oil. Obviously, every time you ride the bike, it's a good idea to check the oil. Another side benefit, I get a lot of satisfaction out of doing my own maintenance and keeping track of it and knowing that it's done right, and if it isn't, it's on me. So whenever I do the maintenance, any real maintenance on a bike, at the end of it I like to do a good flitzing of the whole bike. The reason is this is supposed to give, and it's proven to be good stuff. 6 months of protection where we don't get a lot of rust and oxidation and corrosion, and it's really easy to use. Now the whole thing with this, it just takes time. I could use a buffer on it if I wanted to, if I was looking to polish it, but the bike doesn't really need a lot of polish. What it needs is protection, because we do get to ride in the rain. We get, a lot of times we get back and the last half of the ride there's bugs all over the bike and everything else. But the FLITZ not only adds a little shine to it, but the protection has proven to really be good. Now, what I did a piece of the Toyota fender one time just to prove it to myself. Did a little section. In fact, I even videotaped it, I think. And then what happened was, I went and washed the car. And where I had done the FLITZ, it was really like similar to if you carnauba waxed the whole car. Now, the other part is, I like to do this because I like to have a nice looking, fresh, clean bike. I don't like to have the homeless look. Some people prefer the homeless look. Well, unfortunately, I'm not one of them. And here's another trick. Now, you get this much off. This is always the trick of tricks. You get this much off, and there's always a little bit of residue. So now, you can take one of these really fluffy. These are the microfibers that are a fortune. They're 10 bucks a piece or something, and you can finalize it with that. And boy, that really does add a nice layer of protection. Look at this. Look, I always say you can see yourself in the reflection. That's good. That's a good polish. Anyway, but the most important thing, it's protected, and we want to do the same thing to the aluminum parts, the rims, the windshield, everything we can. And that should be good, but basically for the whole summer riding season. Now, I know some people would say this is overkill. I even do this to get the protection under the seat. I don't like to have a bike that when I take the seat off, it looks like homeless people are living under my seat, or mice, or some kind of animals. Rodents live in there. And everybody knows I'm a fanatic for clean. And I don't know why. I'm not sure why. I think it's an illness. It's really a sickness, but it's a good sickness. And I do love having a clean bike. And with all that done, we should be protected for a whole summer of riding. Now, it goes without saying, anytime you're using a buffer, you don't want to hold the buffer on these high mountaintops. And I'm using the softest pad available, the black pad, at speed 2 of 10. And the FLITZ just polishes that up like it's jewelry. It's amazing. And again, what I say is the shine is nice, but the protection's even better. Now here it is. This is a 10-year-old bike. This is an 09. And because I'm maintaining it, 24,000 miles, I have taken the bike out to places where people that don't really know about bikes, the years and the models and everything, and I pawned it off as a brand new bike. I said, oh, I just bought this. It's only a year old, a month old, and you really can't tell. It really is nice and clean. This is, for all purposes, an almost new bike. But then, you know something? Because I do the maintenance, and because I keep after them, and I try to you know, take care of the engines and whatever, you get a lot of value for your money. And I think the thing that's really wonderful about this whole thing is when you do the maintenance yourself, you know it's done right. Like the oil change, you know somebody didn't leave the drain plug loose or they didn't not put a new filter in, or not, they used up old oil that was they were making French fries with or something. You do it. There's a satisfaction of doing things yourself that I like an old school thing. Back in the days when a motorcyclist meant you did all the work yourself, or most of it, or whatever. Kind of an old school thing. And let's face it, I'm old. I never went to school, but I'm old. Not sure about that. But anyway, I do like to share the information, even a simple information like a quick oil change, cleaning up the bike, putting some FLITZ on it, spending an afternoon polishing it. In the end, you wind up having a bike that the bike gets old, and it's like Dorian Gray. You look in the mirror, you're old, and the bike didn't get old. Boy, I wish I could put some FLITZ on my face just to get rid of the wrinkles. But anyway, hey, all beside the point. Hope you enjoyed the video. We got a lot of stuff to do this week, and doesn't look like the weather's going to be our friend, but we may be able to sneak a ride in here and there. The Little League games have been canceled because of the rain. I don't know. But it's still nice to have a nice, clean, brand new looking bike that's 10 years old. So thanks for watching.